Hey guys, tonight we're heading into the smoky mists of medieval Europe, where kings are made in kitchens, crowns are handed out like heirlooms, and invading horsemen thunder in before breakfast. You'll meet Otto, the man who didn't just fight off the apocalypse on horseback, but decided to invent something while doing it the Holy Roman Empire. Sounds like a lot. It was. And you, my friend, are about to walk through every muddy battlefield, shadowed court, and papal corridor with him. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing how far and wide you all are listening from. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're born into a land split by rivers and bloodlines. The year is 912. Not that you'd know it. From looking outside, there are no street lamps. No clocks ticking on stone walls. Just the scratch of ink in monasteries and the rustle of cloaks over frozen dirt. You hear it in whispers. He's here. Henry's son. The man they call Henry the Fowler. A king not by blood, but by vote. Holds his newborn Otto, with a hawk still perched on his arm. It's not a metaphor. That bird is real. And so is the war it smells. Henry isn't crowned by Rome, or anointed by angels. He's a duke with ambition and a battlefield resume. His boy, Otto, is his legacy, not a boy meant for toys and lullabies, but for swords and scrolls. You can almost hear the world sharpening around him. Saxony is restless. Bavaria is cocky. Franconia can't decide whether it wants to be German or French. And the Magyars, they're warming up their horses for another raid. It's not a lullaby world, it's a grow-up fast or die world. Otto grows in Magdeburg, surrounded by stony silence and training drills. His tutors are grim, his food is bland, and his destiny tastes like cold steel. But Otto isn't ordinary. He doesn't whine. He listens. He watches. He doesn't smile much. But he remembers everything. And somewhere, under those heavy eyebrows, plans are already forming. Historians still argue whether Otto's childhood was deliberately harsh to mold him, or simply typical for the sons of warlords. What's clear is this: while other boys were learning how to play the lute, Otto was learning how to command men twice his age. By 12, he could ride a warhorse, blindfolded. By 14, he was inspecting castle defenses. Not bad for a teenager whose haircut looks like someone used a soup bowl. Quirky fact, according to one monk's diary, Otto once challenged a local noble to a duel over a bet involving boiled eel. The duel didn't happen, probably because everyone realized boiled eel isn't worth dying over. But the story stuck, because even as a youth, Otto wasn't the type to back down, even when the issue was, well, fish. You hear the whispers in candlelit chapels and muddy inns. That boy, he might be something. And then, suddenly, it's not whispers anymore. It's news. Henry the Fowler dies in 936. Peacefully. For a man who made a living by not dying. The nobles gather Saxon, Frankish, Swabian and do something strange for the time they don't squabble. They crown Otto king without major bloodshed. You watch it happen in Aachen, where Charlemagne once reigned. Otto wears a robe stitched with gold thread and carries a sword, nearly as long as he is tall. At 24, he's king of East Francia, the German stem of a still fractured Carolingian corpse. The room smells of incense and sweat. A monk records the ceremony with trembling hands. Not because he's nervous, because Otto insists on the old Roman-style procession. He wants legacy. He wants memory. Otto isn't playing king. He's laying the first brick of an empire. And yet, you probably won't survive this, because the crown doesn't sit quietly. Every noble in the realm is watching Otto with one hand on their goblet, the other on a dagger. Being king is just step one. Step two, surviving it. You wake up the morning after the coronation, but there's no time to stretch or sip honeyed wine. Otto's first breakfast as king comes with rebellion. Welcome to medieval ruling. No tutorials. No grace period. Just the nobles testing how sharp your sword and your patience really is. It starts small. A missing tribute here. A reluctant bow there. The dukes of Franconia and Bavaria exchange glances that say more than their toasts. You can feel it, they think. Otto's young, green, too new to hold power over their weathered bloodlines. One of them even says, "He's more robe than rule." That's a pretty bold thing to say, when your head's only a few feet from a crown that's still warm. Otto doesn't lash out. Not yet. Instead, he tours the realm. You follow him on horseback through dense woods, over frostbitten hills, and across lands where loyalty is measured in how many troops a duke can raise, not how many poems they recite at court. Otto's face is unreadable. He visits bishoprics, fortresses, and crumbling villas where ghosts of Rome still haunt the stones. Mainstream historians agree. Otto moved quickly to secure power by layering his rule with religious legitimacy. One quirky detail that stands out: Otto often made bishops his dinner guests, but sat them next to old war generals. It wasn't just hospitality. It was a signal he wanted the sword and the sermon in the same room, under his control. You notice that Otto doesn't play nice, but he plays smart. When he appoints a new duke, he doesn't pick someone from a big family. He picks someone too small to rebel and too grateful to betray. When he promotes a bishop, it's one who grew up poor men who owe him everything and have nothing else to lose. By now, you're wondering, when does the fighting start? Because all this posturing feels like a chess game played with axes. And you'd be right. The trigger comes from the east. Slavic tribes test the Saxon frontier, and Otto sends out his army. But when one of the dukes, Eberhard of Franconia, refuses to send troops, Otto draws a line in the cold dirt. You ride beside Otto's forces. It's a ragged band, fewer knights than you expected. More footmen, some wielding tools that barely qualify as weapons. But morale is high, because Otto himself is leading. No gilded chariot. No royal canopy. Just a king in armor. Mud on his boots. Looking very much like the son of Henry the Fowler. Eberhard finally marches against Otto. Here it is. The moment everyone's been waiting for. You stand at Burton, where two rivers meet. And so do Faitas. The battle isn't large, but it's loud. Clashes echo across the field as Otto's loyalists slam into the rebels. In the chaos, Otto's standard falls, and so does Eberhard. Captured, humiliated, and exiled. Otto doesn't kill him. That's the lesson. You learn something strange here. Otto doesn't always punish with the sword. Sometimes he uses memory. By sparing traitors, he lets their shame live longer than their bodies would have. It's brutal in its own quiet way. And yet, even that calculated mercy sends ripples. Thankmar, Otto's own half-brother, feels snubbed. Older than Otto, and born of a different mother. Thankmar believes the crown should have been his. He mumbles it at feasts. He writes it in letters, and then he arms himself. Historians still argue whether Thankmar's rebellion was rooted in legal succession claims or just raw sibling jealousy. Either way, it's on badly. You're at the siege of Eresburg now. Thankmar holes up in a church, probably hoping sanctuary means something to Otto. It doesn't. Arrows fly. The doors burn. One shaft finds Thankmar mid-prayer. And with that, Otto buries both a brother and a threat. But don't rest yet. The dukes aren't done. Duke Gilbert of Lorraine, the kind who speaks 5 languages, but trusts no one, marries Otto's sister, and then betrays him anyway. And this time, it's not just one duchy in flames. It's 2. Otto marches again, always marching. And you, tired and muddy. I begin to see the pattern. Otto doesn't let enemies fester. He doesn't wait for the perfect moment. He crushes, pardons, then absorbs. It's like a rhythm, a heartbeat of war and law. By the end of the campaign, Gilbert is dead in the Rhine, literally drowned in retreat. Otto annexes Lorraine, expanding his rule and shocking the West. France blinks. So do you. Because Otto's no longer just defending his crown. He's reshaping the map. Still, Otto doesn't smile. That's not his style. He rides into winter like it's just another campaign, already thinking about the next fire to put out. You try to warm your hands by the campfire, but all you feel is the weight of a crown that never lets you sleep easy. You wake to rain, drumming on canvas, somewhere between a battlefield and a bishop's wine cellar. Otto doesn't sleep much, and neither do you, because while swords may win battles, they don't build kingdoms. For that, you need ink, parchment, and weddings. Lots of weddings. Today, you're dressing up for a royal one. Otto marries Edith of Wessex, a quiet move with thunderous intent. She's the daughter of Edward the Elder, granddaughter of Alfred the Great, which means Otto now has a direct connection to the prestigious English royal line. No small flex in a world obsessed with pedigree. And it's not just for show. Edith is sharp, literate, multilingual, and she knows how to turn court gossip into weapons sharper than Otto's sword. You're at the wedding feast, where roasted swan and fruit tarts decorate wooden tables, and monks sneak honeyed wine under their robes. Edith sits beside Otto, composed but observant. She's not here to be a trophy. She's here to be a partner. You catch a sideways glance. She gives a murmuring duke. And suddenly he's quiet for the rest of the evening. Yeah, she'll be fine. Otto gains more than a wife. He gains a mirror. Edith softens his edges, but not too much. With her, Otto begins reshaping his court. She brings English customs, advisors, and fashion so bold that one Saxon noble mutters, "She's dressing like a saint and a spy at once." The marriage also sends a message to the German nobles. Otto's dynasty won't be some fragile line of luck. It's going to have depth, continuity, maybe even charm. Still, not everyone's pleased. Some resent Edith's influence. Others think Otto's leaning too much into foreign ties. You hear grumbles, the kind that start as court whispers and end as pitched rebellions. But for now, the crown is secure, until it isn't. The real challenge comes not from the outside, but from inside Otto's own royal family tree branches that twist, rot, and try to strangle each other. The first tangle Thankmar, is dead. Yes, but Otto's younger brother Henry has started to make noise. Not swords out noise. Not yet, but enough to stir unease. Henry believes that, as a younger son, he's entitled to something land. Titles. Respect. What he gets is suspicion. Otto gives him nothing but side eyes and slow nods, and Henry begins to fester. Meanwhile, Duke Eberhard, fresh off his previous rebellion, is stirring again. You follow Otto to the Duchy of Swabia, where the nobles host him with tight smiles and sharpened forks. Otto sits at their feast, says little, and studies everything. The wine, the silence, who eats first, who eats last. His instincts are humming. You wake the next morning to the sound of horns. Otto's troops surround the castle. Another duke has rebelled. Another must fall. The fighting is swift, and Otto's retaliation. Precise. He doesn't raise village. He doesn't salt fields. He strips titles, Seitzes Land, and redistributes them to allies and bishops. It's control through architecture, not ruin. Quirky tidbit. He once granted a key fortress to a monk with the comment, "Stone doesn't betray," and neither does silence. Historians still debate how intentional Otto's use of church appointments was during this period. Was it brilliant statecraft, or just desperation for trustworthy allies? Either way, it works. Bishops become his generals in robes. Monasteries double as military outposts. And Otto slowly weaves a system where faith and state reinforce each other. You walk corridors where friars discuss crop yields, while sharpening daggers under their robes. You hear prayers sung in Latin while militia drills echo outside. Otto's realm is not yet an empire, but it's becoming something stronger than just a kingdom of warlords. By now, Otto's using every tool at his disposal: alliances, God, law, and blood. He creates what some later historians call Reichskirche, a church realm where bishops and abbots rule in his name. Unmarried and childless, with no sons to rebel or inherit. It's genius. It's also creepy. If you're the kind who likes your politics without divine blackmail. And yet, as Otto builds, others tremble, especially Hungary. You hear distant reports, Magyar raiders sacking towns, burning churches, laughing at German defenses. They ride fast, shoot from horseback, and vanish into forests before swords can be drawn. They don't want land, they want loot, fear, reputation, and for decades, they've gotten it. But Otto watches. He calculates. He's not just fighting men, he's fighting chaos. He knows that if he doesn't act soon, the Magyar terror will become myth, and myths are harder to kill. So he begins preparing something enormous, something final, but not yet. Because before you ride to Lechfeld, there's another crown to claim, and Italy is calling. You squint up at the mountains. The Alps rise like jagged teeth, snow-dusted and smug. Behind them lies Italy, a land of golden churches, political backstabbing, and exactly 0 quiet afternoons. Otto stands beside you, squinting too, but not at the scenery. He's calculating how many men he'll lose on the climb, and how many popes he'll need to intimidate once he gets there. Italy hasn't asked nicely, but it has asked. It's Queen Adelaide, widowed, imprisoned, and furious. Her husband, King Lothair of Italy, has died suspiciously, possibly poisoned, and Berengar of Ivrea has swooped in like a hyena. Adelaide sends messengers through enemy lines, disguised as pilgrims, bearing a plea for Otto come rescue her, and maybe crown yourself king while you're at it. You descend into the Italian north under heavy skies. The German army trudges behind you, soaked and coughing. No Hollywood moment here, just mud, cold, and the occasional falling donkey. Adelaide is waiting not in a tower, but in hiding near Lake Garda. You find her in a small fortress chapel, eyes alert, voice calm. She's no damsel. She's a chess piece that moves itself. Otto marries her quickly, part political alliance, part rescue mission, part why not seize a crown while we're at it? Historians still argue whether Otto loved Adelaide or just used her. The truth, maybe both. He gives her power, legitimacy, and protection. She gives him access to Italy, and a reason to tell the Pope he belongs in Rome. You march south together, through cities that change flags faster than their bedding. Otto doesn't waste time. He crushes Berengar's supporters, offers leniency where he can, and seizes lands for loyal bishops where he can't. A quirky note from a local chronicler says, Otto insisted on being served wine mixed with German beer during his campaign dinners. To keep the balance, he said. The court physician did not approve. Rome watches all of this with a combination of amusement and dread. The Pope John XII is young, barely 20, and already infamous for, well, let's just say his idea of papal decorum includes gambling and very late parties. Otto writes him a letter. It's polite, but unmistakably edged. I am coming. Prepare accordingly. The coronation takes place in 962. You're in St. Peter's Basilica, where incense chokes the air, and sunlight falls in broken halos through high windows. Otto kneels. The Pope raises a crown, and then contact. The crown descends. Otto rises, not just as King of the Germans, but as Emperor of the Romans. It's the revival of an idea, not just a title. Charlemagne's ghost stirs. The Holy Roman Empire isn't formalized yet, not in name, but this moment is the heartbeat that sets it in motion. And yet, something feels brittle. The Pope smiles too widely. The Roman nobles murmur too quietly. The gold doesn't sit easy on Otto's brow. You feel it too. This isn't like Aachen. This is Rome, and Rome has teeth. Within a year, Otto and John XII are at odds. The Pope keeps acting like a spoiled prince. Otto issues warnings. Then, when warnings fail, he acts. You stand in a synod, a council Otto calls himself. Bishops gather. Charges are read. John is accused of blasphemy, adultery, and literally toasting the devil. Most of the evidence is thin, but no one's here for legal purity. This is theatre, and Otto is the director. They depose John. Install Leo VIII instead. Rome gasps. No emperor has done this since Constantine. You half expect lightning to strike the altar. It doesn't. Otto just walks out. Cloak, swishing, but the consequences are heavy. Otto has made it clear. Emperors can appoint popes, which means emperors can control the church. It's bold. It's brilliant. It's terrifying. Quirky aside, Otto had a custom saddle made for this Rome campaign, engraved with Latin phrases from Cicero. One side said, "Order above all." The other, "Even Rome follows steel." You ride back north with him, past sullen Italians and grateful bishops. The empire is growing, but it's fragile, held together by coin, charisma, and cold calculation. You see it in Otto's silence. He knows that power taken too quickly burns too hot. Back in Germany, you rest briefly, because while Rome wrestles with theology and etiquette, the Magyars are sharpening their sabers, and next time they ride, they won't just be looting, they'll be coming to conquer. The wind tastes different this time, not like wet stone or alpine chill, but like ash, smoke, and fear. Because word has come, the Magyars aren't raiding anymore. They're invading. You sit by a fire, sharpening your blade with fingers that tremble not from cold, but from the stories trickling in. Monasteries burnt, entire towns erased. Scouts found hung from trees with messages carved into their chests. Submit or vanish. Otto doesn't flinch. He reads the reports, rolls them up, and sets them aflame one by one. We end this, he says. No speeches, just strategy. For decades, the Magyars, nomadic horsemen from the steppes, have terrorized Central Europe. They strike fast, vanish faster, and leave only cinders behind. No walls stop them, no treaties bind them. They're mobile, vicious, and brilliant at psychological warfare. Some say they're punishment from God. Others think they are gods. Neither belief helps when they're galloping toward you with composite bows and fire jars. Otto, unlike many of his predecessors, doesn't want a temporary peace. He wants finality. So he starts building. First, fortress. You ride with engineers marking hills, drawing trenches, setting timbers. They're not fancy, just solid, ugly, and effective. Next, a real army, not a feudal levy, not an angry mob with pitchforks. A trained, professional, mobile army with cavalry and coordination. He calls in allies: Bavaria, Swabia, Bohemia, even Burgundy whispers offers of support. And then he makes his strangest move yet. He names his son, Ludolf, commander of the vanguard. Now that's awkward. You remember Ludolf, the son who once rebelled, the one Otto nearly disowned. But politics makes strange dining companions, and blood is still blood. This appointment is risky, but also brilliant. It shows the realm that Otto values loyalty after rebellion, not just before it. It also puts Ludolf right in the Magyar's path, which might be a reward or a trap. Historians still argue whether this was reconciliation or chess. Either way, Ludolf doesn't hesitate. He rides. You join the march toward Augsburg, where the rivers meet and the Magyars are expected to strike. It's a miserable journey. Rain soaks everything. Horses falter. Supplies dwindle. Otto says little. He's not the fiery orator type. He's the hand you a spear and raise an eyebrow type. Then, the sky splits. The Magyars come not as raiders, but as a war machine. Thousands. Light cavalry. Sieger engines. Drums that sound like thunder. You grip your reins and suddenly wonder if this was a bad idea. But Otto stands firm. He places his troops in a defensive, U-shaped formation, anchoring the flanks on swamps and forest. His infantry at the center, cavalry hidden. You blink. He's turning the battlefield itself into a weapon. And then, they strike. The Battle of Lechfeld begins. You smell wet earth, blood, and terror. Arrows rain like bees. The Magyars swarm the center, But Otto's infantry holds just barely, and then snap, his cavalry swings around, crashing into the Magyar flanks. Ludolf leads the charge like a man possessed. No hesitation, just thunder. The Magyars try to retreat, but there's no gap, no escape. The rain turns the field to mud, and their horses flounder. Otto's men press forward. No chaos, no panic, just relentless order. And then the miracle happens. A lightning bolt splits a tree not 10 feet from the battlefield. Soldiers drop to their knees. Otto, calm as a bishop in Lent, simply raises his sword and keeps marching. Later, monks will write this off as divine intervention. God crowned him with stormlight. One will claim, another will say Otto whispered a prayer that calmed the storm. Nobody knows for sure. What is sure, the Magyars break. Completely. You watch them flee, disorganized. Disperati. And finally, mortal. Otto doesn't pursue. Not far. He lets the survivors carry the story back. Don't come back. Ever. Quirky detail. After the battle, Otto personally visits the wounded. He kneels beside a dying archer who once tried to desert and simply says, "You stood when it mattered." The man dies with a smile. The guards cry more than the monks. From that day forward, Otto isn't just king. He's Savir. In every village, mothers teach their children his name, not as ruler, but as the wall that held. The first true emperor, not just by title, but by action. And yet, victory is a heavy crown. You ride back to Magdeburg with Otto. The crowds cheer. The bells ring. But Otto says nothing. His face is unreadable. He knows what you're just starting to understand. The empire has been born, but now it must be kept. You wake to the hum of court life, far from the thunder of battlefields, but no less brutal. Otto's court is a theater of whispers, veiled threats, and clever smiles. The victory at Lechfeld has secured his reign, but the real test is keeping the fractured realm stitched together. The nobles, once cowed, now gather in halls heavy with tapestries and ambition. You see dukes whispering in corners, plotting, shifting allegiances like chess pieces on a board with no edges. Otto watches, listens, waits. His eyes are the kind that see through stone walls. It's here, amid feasts of roasted boar and mead, that Otto begins weaving the most delicate web of all the alliance between throne and church, not just with bishops as generals, but with the very spiritual backbone of Europe. He issues charters, grants, lands, and bestows privileges that bind the church's power tightly to imperial will. His court becomes a crucible where politics and piety blend into a new kind of rule. You watch as Otto appoints his trusted allies to key bishoprics, men who neither marry nor sire heirs, so their loyalty remains to the crown alone. The system is not flawless. Sometimes bishops grumble or plot, but it's a masterstroke of control and stability, and it transforms the way power flows through the empire. Yet, with power comes paranoia. Otto's own son, Ludolf, still restless and ambitious, stirs discontent in the south. Friction between father and son grows like a slow-burning fire. You hear rumors of secret meetings, letters intercepted, and hushed betrayals. Family loyalty, it seems, is as fragile as the finest glass. Meanwhile, unrest simmers in the fringes. Bohemia resists. Slavic tribes press east. Italy remains a patchwork of loyalists and rebels. never fully tamed. Otto responds with a mix of force and diplomacy, sometimes harsh, sometimes surprisingly patient. His vision is clear, an empire held together not only by sword, but by law and faith. Historians still debate whether Otto's reliance on the church was a brilliant political strategy or an uneasy compromise that planted seeds of future conflict. Either way, it changed medieval Europe forever. In queder moments, Otto is said to have reflected on the weight of his crown, not just the physical burden but the heavy loneliness that comes with supreme authority. He once confided to a trusted advisor, "A king's true throne is the silence after the crowd leaves." You begin to see Otto not just as a warrior, but as a statesman, a man balancing on a knife's edge between tradition and innovation, between family and duty. And while the empire breathes, the shadows lengthen. For every victory, there's a rival waiting in the wings. For every alliance, a hidden dacher. The game is far from over. You're back on the road again this time. Not just as a warrior, but as a diplomat. Otto rides with a purposeful calm, the weight of his empire pressing on his shoulders like the saddle beneath him. He knows well that iron and fire win battles, but words and alliances hold realms together. The duchies remain restless. Bavaria, once fiercely independent, que demands autonomie. Saxony grumbles about taxes and conscription. Even the church, which Otto carefully nurtured, whispers about overreach. You see nobles at feasts who smile like friends but sharpen their tongues in secret. Otto's response: he tightens his grip with a paradoxical blend of leniency and authority. He calls councils to hear grievances, but never lets complaints turn into rebellion. When nobles step out of line, they find themselves suddenly stripped of titles or exiled to distant lands. Loyalty is rewarded with land and favor, treason with swift justice. You watch as Otto turns his attention to the city's growing centers of trade and culture. He grants charters, encouraging merchants and artisans to settle under imperial protection. It's a savvy move. Wealth breeds stability, and stability breeds power. Meanwhile, Otto's court is alive with scholars and monks copying manuscripts, translating Latin texts, and preserving knowledge that might have otherwise vanished. The empire becomes a beacon of learning amidst the dark shadows of the early Middle Ages. But all this progress stirs envy. You sense tension in the air, like a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. Otto's relationship with his son Ludolf worsens. The prince chafes under his father's stern hand and yearns for his own glory. Rumors of rebellion swirl again, this time more dangerous because it's blood against blood. Quirky detail: a court jester once claimed Otto's favorite pastime was playing chess blindfolded, believing it trained his mind for the intricate game of politics. Whether true or not, it fits his reputation as a man who always thinks several moves ahead. Historians still argue whether Otto's centralization efforts were early steps toward a modern state, or a temporary patchwork destined to unravel. You lean toward the former, feeling the pulse of an empire in formation. As you ride through dense forests and quiet villages, you realize Otto's legacy isn't just in battles won, but in foundations, laid foundations that would support centuries of empire. The throne is heavy, but Otto carries it with unyielding resolve. You arrive at a grand hall, the air thick with incense and anticipation. Today's no ordinary gathering. It's a coronation ceremony at Aachen, the ancient seat of Charlemagne, where kings have been crowned for centuries. But Otto's coronation isn't just a tradition, it's a statement. He's claiming continuity with the glory of Rome and the legacy of the Franks. You watch Otto kneel before the archbishop, the crown gleaming with gold and jewels, the weight of history settling onto his head. The choir's chants rise like waves, filling the vaulted ceilings with sacred sound. Outside, the crowd murmurs with a mix of reverence and skepticism. This is no mere title, it's a claim to a fractured empire, a promise to unite a realm torn by warlords and ambition. But Otto knows it's only the beginning. Crowns can be taken as easily as they are given, and every lord in the land eyes the new king with suspicion. Historians still argue whether this coronation marked the true rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire, or simply a symbolic gesture with limited real power. Either way, it's a defining moment. A torch passed through time. Quirky fact, Otto reportedly insisted that the coronation banquet include a dish made from roasted peacock, a rare and extravagant delicacy meant to impress foreign dignitaries and remind everyone that the empire's reach was both vast and cultured. As the ceremony concludes, Otto rises with a steady gaze, aware that the road ahead is littered with challenges, rebellions to quell, borders to defend, and a legacy to forge. The crown is heavier than it looks, but so is his resolve. You step out into the crisp air, feeling the weight of history pressing down like the crown on Otto's head. The empire waits, uncertain but hopeful, as its new king begins his reign. The court buzzes with a new tension like a storm gathering behind sunny skies. Otto's English queen, Edith, isn't just a figurehead. She's a presence felt in every whispered conversation, every glance exchanged in shadowed corridors. Her sharp mind and refined manners have won some hearts and stirred others' envy. You can almost taste the cocktail of admiration and suspicion that fills the halls. Otto, often stoic, shows glimpses of warmth when Edith is near, but politics rarely allows for tenderness. The nobles watch this partnership closely, some hoping it will stabilize the realm, others fearing it might upset the delicate balance of power. Edith's foreign influence challenges the traditional Saxon order, and that ruffles more than a few feathers. Meanwhile, Otto's focus is pulled in many directions. His realm stretches, but so do the cracks in its foundation. Old grudges simmer, and new threats loom. You hear tales of distant dukes plotting alliances and betrayals in whispered tongues. The court is a chessboard, and every player has sharp edges. At the same time, Otto's strategy of installing loyal bishops into key positions is showing both strength and vulnerability. These churchmen wield spiritual and temporal power, often acting as his eyes and hands across the realm, yet their loyalty is tested by local pressures and ambitions. You notice a curious detail. Otto maintains a network of messengers and spies who report news faster than the changing winds. Some say his intelligence system rivals any army. It's a reminder that power isn't only forged in battle, but also in information. Historians debate how much Edith influenced Otto's policies. Was she a silent partner shaping decisions from behind the scenes, or merely a symbol of alliance? The truth is elusive, but her role is undeniable. You find yourself reflecting on the paradox of Otto's reign's strength built on compromise. Unity, born from division. His empire is a fragile mosaic, held together by faith, force, and the careful dance of diplomacy. And amidst it all, the question lingers: can one man hold such a vast and restless realm together? You watch Otto move through his kingdom, like a conductor guiding a vast orchestra, each duke, bishop, and knight a crucial instrument in the symphony of power. His most effective move, installing bishops as his political agents, men loyal not to family, but to throne and altar. These churchmen don't have heirs to pass lands on to, which means no dynastic ambitions to interfere with imperial authority. It's clever, it's controlling, and, well, a little unsettling. You can almost hear the whispered prayers and plotting murmurs intertwining like vines in shadowed cloisters. Otto's use of the church as a governing arm reshapes medieval politics. It's less about brute force now, and more about networks, loyalty, oaths, and divine right. The bishops become administrators, judges, and military leaders. Some wield swords alongside rosaries. A quirky detail: Otto reportedly joked that his bishops were the only men who could wield power without ever needing to shave. Whether that's true or just court gossip, it paints a vivid picture of the era's odd mix of piety and pragmatism. Yet this system has its risks. Bishops sometimes grow too powerful, acting like mini-kings. Others clash with local nobles, sparking tensions Otto must delicately manage. It's a constant balancing act. You follow Otto to a council meeting where these church leaders debate laws, taxes, and military levies. The room hums with the tension of politics and faith entwined. Otto listens, then decisively sways votes not by force, but by shrewd argument and quiet authority. Historians still debate whether Otto's church empire was an early step towards centralized statehood or a fragile patchwork doomed to fail. Your gut says it laid the groundwork for something enduring, even if imperfect. As you ride through villages and towns under this new order, you see signs of change: roads improved, markets regulated, and churches built with imperial support. The empire breathes, slow and steady, but in the distance, you hear hoofbeats. The Magyars are not forgotten. You find yourself on the winding roads of the Alps again, the landscape shifting from dense forests to rocky passes. Italy beckons once more, a puzzle Otto can't resist. The Italian peninsula is a tangled web of city-states, ambitious nobles, and popes with more power than some kings. Otto's second expedition into Italy is both a campaign and a game of patience. The local lords welcome him with cautious smiles, each hoping to bend the new emperor to their will. You witness lavish banquets and secret meetings held in dimly lit chambers, where promises are made and broken in the same breath. Pope John XII, a man more known for his scandalous behavior than spiritual leadership, oscillates between alliance and defiance. Otto knows that controlling the papacy is essential to legitimizing his rule. But the Pope is a wild card, a dangerous one. A quirky tidbit: Otto once sent a letter to John XII, complaining about the Pope's late-night revelries, warning that divine favor might be slipping away. The Pope's reply was reportedly a bawdy poem, much to the shock of Otto's clerical advisors. As Otto navigates the treacherous political waters of Rome, he balances force with diplomacy. He supports reform-minded clergy while keeping a wary eye on powerful Roman families who see the emperor as an outsider. Historians still debate whether Otto's Italian campaigns were more about spiritual authority or sheer political dominance. The lines blur, but what's clear is Otto's determination to assert control over the heart of Christendom. You watch as the city of Rome becomes a chessboard, where every move could shift the balance of power. Otto's presence brings order, but also unrest, as ancient rivalries flare under the shadow of the imperial crown. Despite the challenges, Otto secures his position as emperor, crowned with a ceremony that echoes through history. The Holy Roman Empire is more than a title, it's a vision of unity in a fractured world. And yet, the struggle for control over Rome is far from over. You step into the sacred halls of St. Peter's Basilica. Its walls steeped in centuries of faith and intrigue. The air is thick with incense, and the murmurs of clergy and nobility blend into a solemn chorus. Otto kneels before the Pope, the weight of the moment settling like a shroud. The crowning ceremony is a spectacle of grandeur and symbolism. The Pope places the imperial crown upon Otto's head, sealing his title as Emperor of the Romans. This moment is both a culmination and a commencement, a rebirth of an empire that once stretched across continents. You can feel the tension beneath the gilded veneer. The Pope's smile is tight, the noble's whispers sharp. Otto's authority, though sanctioned by the Church, is fragile, balanced precariously between spiritual endorsement and political reality. A quirky note during the ceremony. A choirboy reportedly let out a loud sneeze right as the crown was placed, causing a ripple of suppressed laughter, reminding everyone that even the most sacred moments are tinged with humanity. Historians still argue the extent to which this coronation truly re-established the Roman Empire or merely symbolized a new political order. What is undeniable is its profound impact on European identity and governance. After the ceremony, Otto's challenges multiply. He must navigate the complex relationship with the papacy, manage rebellious nobles, and maintain the unity of his diverse realm. The imperial title brings prestige, but also expectations and scrutiny. You witness Otto's cautious diplomacy, his strategic marriages, and his efforts to strengthen ties with the Church. Each move is calculated to consolidate power without provoking open conflict. As you leave the basilica, the weight of the crown seems to press heavier on Otto's brow. The empire is born, but its future hangs in delicate balance. The court is restless. Rumors swirl, like autumn leaves, stirred by the unpredictable winds of politics and ambition. Otto's imperi, though crowned and proclaimed, is far from peaceful. The Magyars, once shattered at Lechfeld, have regrouped in the shadows. Their raids, though less frequent, continue to threaten the empire's eastern borders. Otto knows that vigilance must never wane. Meanwhile, internal strife simmers. Noble factions jockey for position, their alliances shifting like sand. Even within Otto's family, tensions grow. His son Ludolf, restless and ambitious, challenges his father's authority, sparking whispers of rebellion. You find yourself in a council chamber where heated debates rage over military funding and territorial disputes. Otto listens carefully, balancing firmness with pragmatism. He understands that an empire held together by force alone is doomed to fracture. A quirky tidbit: Otto was known to have a particular fondness for falcons, often using falconry as a metaphor in his speeches about control and freedom. His hawks were not just pets but symbols of his rule. Historians still debate how much these internal conflicts threatened the stability of Otto's reign. Some argue that his ability to manage dissent was key to his success. Others suggest that his reign was constantly on the brink. You watch Otto navigate these challenges with a blend of diplomacy and decisive action. His reign is a testament to the delicate art of empire building, where every victory demands a new battle. As the sun sets over the empire, you realize that Otto's story is not just about conquest, but about the enduring struggle to hold a kingdom together. The air in the great hall feels charged, as if the walls themselves hold their breath. Otto faces challenges not only from external foes, but from within his son. Ludolf's rebellion threatens to tear apart the fragile fabric of the empire. You can see the weight of disappointment in Otto's eyes. A rare glimpse behind the stoic facade. Ludolf, once a favored commander, now leads a coalition of dissatisfied nobles, each eager to capitalize on the emperor's distractions. The rebellion is a bitter reminder that blood ties can be as dangerous as any enemy's sword. You witness the tense negotiations, the subtle threats, and the outright battles that mark this dark chapter. Otto's forces move swiftly, quelling uprisings with a combination of military might and political concessions. Yet, the scars of conflict linger in court, whispers and broken alliances. Historians still debate whether Otto's handling of the rebellion was too harsh or a necessary assertion of imperial authority. What is clear is that the episode tested the very limits of his power. Amidst the turmoil, Otto's relationship with the church remains pivotal. He strengthens ties with reform-minded clergy, using their moral authority to legitimize his rule and suppress dissent. A quirky fact surfaces during the rebellion. Otto reportedly spent a night in disguise, wandering among common soldiers to gauge their loyalty firsthand, whether legend or truth. It speaks to his hands-on leadership style. As calm returns, Otto emerges more determined. The rebellion has hardened his resolve and clarified his vision, a unified empire held together by law, faith, and firm leadership. You sense that Otto's journey is far from over. The seeds of future challenges are already sown. The empire breathes a cautious sigh, but the shadows linger. You sense the restless pulse beneath the surface as Otto looks beyond the immediate storms toward a longer horizon. His gaze turns toward the future, not just for himself, but for the legacy he will leave behind. To secure his realm, Otto begins to formalize succession, naming his son and heirs, clearly to prevent the chaos that so often follows a ruler's death. The delicate dance of dynastic politics unfolds, filled with alliances, promises, and betrayals. You follow Otto as he arranges marriages that span borders, weaving a web of kinship designed to bind rival houses together. These unions are more than personal, they're political tools, each one a thread in the tapestry of imperial stability. At the same time, Otto invests in the empire's infrastructure, encouraging the growth of towns, trade routes, and religious institutions. The empire is not just a collection of territories, it is an idea taking shape, a community bound by shared laws and faith. A quirky anecdote: Otto is said to have personally inspected the building of a new bridge over the Rhine, famously commenting, "An empire that cannot cross its rivers is an empire that cannot hold." His practical wisdom echoes in the stones still standing today. Historians debate how much these reforms influenced the development of medieval Europe. Some see Otto as the father of the Holy Roman Empire's enduring institutions. Others view his efforts as the last breath of a fading Carolingian dream. As the years pass, you watch Otto age, not with the grandeur of legends, but with the quiet dignity of a man who carries the burdens of many. His final years are marked by both reflection and relentless governance. The empire he forged stands firm, a testament to his vision and resilience. And as you prepare to leave, you realize that Otto's story is not just about a man, but about the birth of a civilization. The court grows quieter as Otto's hair grays, and the flicker of candlelight casts long shadows on stone walls steeped in history. You sense the weight of years settling not just on the emperor's shoulders, but on the empire itself. The battles may have lessened, but the responsibilities have only multiplied. Otto reflects often on the price of power, the lonely nights, the betrayals disguised as counsel, the sacrifices demanded by duty. He speaks less, listens more. His advisors note a softer tone, but his resolve remains unshaken. Yet, even in twilight, the empire's challenges persist. Distant regions chafe under centralized control. Nobles push boundaries. The church navigates its own ambitions. Otto's legacy depends on managing these fractures before they widen. A curious story circulates among the palace staff. Otto, late one night, wandered the gardens alone, whispering prayers for the empire's future. Some say he spoke to ghosts of past kings. Others think he sought peace within himself. Historians still debate how much Otto's later years shaped the empire's direction versus the momentum of earlier reforms. Regardless, his presence anchors a realm on the cusp of transformation. You watch as Otto mentors his successors, imparting wisdom, forged in fire, and faith. His final acts are not grand gestures, but steady guidance, ensuring the empire's endurance beyond his reign. As dusk falls, you realize that Otto's true empire lies not in conquests or crowns, but in the institutions and ideas that outlive him. The corridors of power hum with anticipation and uncertainty. Otto's health wanes, and whispers of succession grow louder. You stand amid the shifting tides of loyalty, where every noble calculates their future, and every ally weighs their promises. Otto's final years are marked by both consolidation and preparation. He secures alliances through marriages and appointments, aiming to smooth the transition for his heirs. His gaze lingers on his sons, especially Otto II, grooming them for the immense responsibility of empire. Yet the seeds of future discord are visible. Rival factions maneuver quietly, eager to capitalize on any perceived weakness. The empire, though strong, is not immune to the fractures that have long challenged rulers before Otto. A poignant moment unfolds when Otto calls a council to affirm the succession, surrounded by his closest advisors and family. The solemnity of the occasion is palpable, a recognition that history will judge what follows. Historians debate whether Otto's efforts truly secured a lasting dynasty or merely postponed inevitable conflict. Regardless, his intent to preserve the empire's unity is clear. Amid personal reflections and political duties, Otto's thoughts often turn to the divine. His faith, deeply ingrained, offers solace and purpose amid the uncertainties of mortal power. A quirky detail: Otto was known to keep a small, well-worn prayer book close at hand, often pausing during council meetings to read a passage quietly, an anchor in the storm of governance. As you leave the throne room, the air is thick with the weight of history in motion. The final chapters of Otto's reign unfolding with both promise and precariousness. The empire holds its breath as Otto's health fades. Yet the machinery of governance continues its relentless rhythm. You see administrators, bishops, and nobles stepping into roles that Otto once held, each testing their mettle amid rising expectations and simmering tensions. Otto's presence lingers like a steady pulse, a reminder of unity in a realm often divided. His wisdom, tempered by years of war and diplomacy, guide decisions even as his voice grows faint. You find yourself in a council where heated debates over frontier defenses and tax levies unfold. The spectre of the Magyars still haunts eastern borders, requiring vigilant attention. Yet the empire's resources stretch thin, balancing military needs with domestic stability. A curious story arises. Otto, in a rare moment of levity, challenged his courtiers to a game of dice, declaring that fortune favored the bold, perhaps a subtle lesson in governance. Historians still ponder how Otto's final years influenced the empire's future trajectory, considering whether his consolidation efforts provided lasting stability or masked underlying fractures. As twilight deepens, you watch Otto in quiet reflection, aware that his reign, though nearing its end, has left an indelible mark on the medieval world. The empire stands, poised between past struggles and future challenges, its destiny entwined with the legacy of its first emperor. The winds grow colder, and the halls echo with solemn whispers. Otto's final days approach, and you feel the weight of an era drawing to a close. His empire, forged through fire and faith, faces the uncertain dawn of a new age. Despite his declining health, Otto remains vigilant. He continues to advise, to guide, to remind his successors of the empire's fragile strength. His presence is a beacon, steady and resolute. Even as his breath grows shallow, you stand beside him during moments of quiet contemplation, sensing the mixture of pride and melancholy. He has built a realm unlike any before, yet he knows that the future will test it in ways he cannot foresee. A touching anecdote tells of Otto's last public appearance, where he blessed the assembled nobles and clergy, urging unity and faith. The crowd's silent tears speak volumes more than words ever could. Historians debate the extent to which Otto's death altered the course of the empire. Some see a smooth transition, others, the beginning of new conflicts. As night falls, you watch as the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire prepares to take his final journey, leaving behind a legacy etched into the very stones of Europe. And with that, you realize that while men perish, empires endure in memory, in law, and in the halls are hushed as news spreads. Otto has passed. You walk through corridors, once vibrant with the emperor's commands, now heavy with silence and reverence. His death marks the end of an era, but also the beginning of a legacy that will echo for centuries. The empire mourns, yet the wheels of power turn. Otto II, his son and successor, steps forward carrying both the weight of his father's achievements and the burden of expectations. You see a young ruler poised between honoring a formidable legacy and forging his own path. The nobles gather, their faces masks of loyalty, tinged with ambition. Alliances are reaffirmed, vows of fealty are sworn, but beneath the surface, the undercurrents of politics shift unpredictably. Otto's vision of a united realm remains alive but fragile. You sense that the structures he built, the intertwined church and state, the fortified borders, the loyal clergy, will be tested anew. A quirky note, Otto II reportedly inherited his father's chess set, but preferred more reckless strategies, earning him the nickname, the Wild King, among courtiers. Historians often view this transition as a critical juncture, the moment when the Holy Roman Empire either solidified or splintered. For now, the future remains unwritten. You step outside, the cold air filling your lungs, aware that history's pages are turning, and that Otto's story, though ended, is only the prologue to a grander saga. The empire stirs anew under Otto II, but the echoes of his father's reign linger like a shadow. You witness a realm striving to uphold a legacy while navigating fresh challenges, rebellions, foreign intrigues, and the relentless push of time. Otto too faces pressures his father never did: demands for autonomy from ambitious dukes, threats from external enemies, and the complex dance of papal politics. You watch as he maneuvers through these storms with varying success, sometimes faltering, but often standing firm. The empire's foundations, laid by Otto I, provides strength but also constraints. The balance between central authority and regional power is delicate, and every decision risks tipping the scales. Quirky tidbit: Otto II was known for his fondness of music and poetry, a contrast to his father's martial focus, bringing a cultural flourish to the court. Historians debate whether Otto II strengthened or weakened the empire's unity. You sense that the challenges he faces are the natural consequences of rapid expansion and the complexities of ruling diverse peoples. As you traverse the vast territories, from the dense forests of Saxony to the sunlit hills of Italy, you feel the pulse of an empire in transition, its future uncertain but vibrant. The legacy of Otto I endures, a foundation upon which new stories will be built. You find yourself amid the vibrant yet volatile city-states of Italy once more, where the papacy and imperial ambitions entwine in a complex dance. Otto II's reign brings renewed tensions with Rome popes eager to assert their independence and emperors determined to maintain supremacy. The political landscape is fraught with alliances shifting like sand beneath the feet of bishops and nobles. Otto II navigates these waters cautiously, aware that missteps could unravel the fragile fabric his father wove. You witness moments of both cooperation and conflict ceremonies that affirm unity, alongside clandestine plots that threaten discord. The Church's power remains a double-edged sword, a source of legitimacy and a potential rival. A quirky note: Otto II reportedly had a fascination with exotic animals, keeping a menagerie that included falcons, lions, and even an elephant, a symbol of his imperial grandeur. Historians still debate the extent to which Otto II's policies in Italy affected the long-term relationship between the empire and the papacy. What is certain is that the struggle for influence in Rome remains a defining feature of medieval politics. As you leave Italy behind, the complexities of empire governance settle over you like a thick fog, beautiful, intricate, and endlessly challenging. The echoes of Rome's marble halls resonate as you return to the heart of the empire. Otto II stands at a crossroads, his imperial title both a beacon and a burden. The legacy of his father looms large, and every decision is weighed against the need to uphold and extend that vision. You witness Otto II's efforts to assert his authority across the empire, from the bustling markets of Burgundy to the misty forests of Saxony. His reign is marked by a series of campaigns, some successful, others fraught with difficulty, but all underscored by a determination to keep the empire intact. In the midst of these efforts, the relationship with the papacy remains delicate. You observe negotiations and ceremonies where the imperial and spiritual powers meet, sometimes in harmony, sometimes in tension. A quirky anecdote: Otto II is said to have introduced new coinage featuring his likeness, a bold statement of sovereignty that stirred both admiration and criticism among his subjects. Historians continue to debate the significance of Otto II's reign, with some viewing it as a continuation of imperial strength, and others as a period of emerging challenges that would test the empire's resilience. As you travel the empire's vast lands, you sense the enduring impact of Otto I's foundations. Even as new stories and struggles unfold, the Holy Roman Empire lives on, shaped by those who dare to wear the crown. The fabric of the empire is a tapestry woven with threads of law, faith, and power, each carefully placed by Otto I's steady hand. You find yourself amid the administrative heart of this vast realm, where scribes and officials work tirelessly to transform chaos into order. Otto's vision extends beyond the battlefield, He understands that an empire must be governed as much by laws as by armies. You watch as charters are issued, taxes collected, and justice administered, often in Latin, the language of law and the church. The network of loyal bishops serves as both spiritual leaders and imperial governors, their influence reaching into every corner of the empire. These men are the glue holding disparate regions together, balancing local customs with imperial decree. A quirky detail, it's said that Otto once personally reviewed a disputed land claim by reading the relevant documents aloud to a room full of grumbling nobles, asserting his role as the ultimate arbiter. Historians debate whether Otto's legal reforms were pioneering steps toward a centralized medieval state, or simply pragmatic responses to the realities of his time. Either way, they laid the groundwork for future governance. As you witness these developments, you appreciate the complexity of ruling a realm, not just with might, but with meticulous care, a testament to Otto's enduring legacy. You stand amidst the rolling hills of Saxony, the land that shaped Otto I and the bedrock of his empire. Here, tradition and innovation collide in a delicate balance that defines his rule. Otto's governance reflects the Saxon model: family loyalty, Christian faith, and a firm hand. The clans and noble families are deeply rooted, their identities intertwined with the land. Otto respects their customs, but insists on unity under imperial authority. You see how he negotiates with these powerful local leaders, blending diplomacy with decisive action. The church remains a central pillar. Monasteries flourish, serving as centers of education, culture, and spiritual life. Otto's promotion of Christianity helps bind the empire together, giving it a shared identity beyond mere borders. A quirky note: Otto was known to enjoy hunting excursions, not just for sport, but as opportunities to bond with nobles and assess the loyalty of his men in the informal setting of the forest. Historians view the Saxon model as both a strength and a limitation, providing stability, but sometimes resisting broader centralization. Yet it's clear that Otto's approach forged a unique medieval polity. As you wander these lands, you sense the enduring spirit of Saxony in the empire's heart, a testament to Otto's roots and vision. The past and future converge here, in the land where empire began. You find yourself amidst the quiet chambers of imperial power, where the most delicate battles unfold, those of bloodlines and succession. Otto's later years are shadowed by the pressing question: who will inherit the empire, despite his efforts to secure the throne for his chosen heirs? The unpredictable nature of family looms large. Sons seek favor, siblings harbor grudges, the court buzzes with intrigue, alliances forged and broken over whispered promises. Otto grapples with this inevitable challenge, balancing the need for a clear succession with the realities of human ambition and frailty. He mentors his sons carefully, aware that the empire's future depends on their unity and strength. A quirky detail emerges. Otto reportedly kept portraits of his family members, marking their places in the lineage like pieces on a chessboard, a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Historians still discuss the extent to which Otto's management of succession set precedents for medieval monarchies, highlighting both its successes and its pitfalls. You watch as the emperor navigates these familial complexities with a mix of sternness and compassion, knowing that the empire's stability may rest on the fragile bonds of kinship. You settle into a quiet monastery library, the scent of parchment and candle wax thick in the air. Here, monks work diligently, chronicling the life and deeds of Otto, even before his final breath. The empire's first emperor is becoming legend. These manuscripts are more than mere records. They're the foundation of history, shaping how future generations will understand the man and his reign. The scribes emphasize his victories, his piety, and his role as the father of a new empire. You notice how stories blend fact and faith, weaving miracles alongside military strategy, the lightning at Lechfeld, the divine right to rule, the sanctity of his coronation, all become threads in a tapestry of imperial mythology. A quirky anecdote: some chronicles humorously describe Otto as a man who could tame wild horses and wild nobles with equal skill, though whether this is truth or metaphor is left to the reader's imagination. Historians debate how much these early narratives influenced the perception of Otto and the Holy Roman Empire, recognizing the power of storytelling in shaping political legitimacy. As you turn the fragile pages, you realize that Otto's legacy is not only in stone and blood, but in the very stories told around fires and in cloisters, stories that breathe life into history. The emperor lives on, immortal in the ink and imagination of those who write. You stand beside Otto as winter's chill settles over the empire, a quiet time of reflection after decades of relentless ambition. The battles have passed, but the weight of legacy presses heavier than any crown. In these final months, Otto's thoughts turn inward. He contemplates the empire. He forged the victories won, the rebellions quelled, the fragile peace maintained. The burden of his decisions weighs on him, a constant companion in the solitude of his chambers. You witness moments of tenderness and regret as Otto visits monasteries, offers prayers, and seeks solace in faith. His body may be waning, but his spirit remains steadfast. A curious detail: Otto is said to have requested a simple wooden cross be placed beside his bed, a symbol of humility amid imperial grandeur. Historians debate the significance of Otto's final days, pondering how his reflections shaped the succession plans and the future course of the empire. As you prepare to depart, you feel the quiet dignity of a ruler whose life was intertwined with the fate of a continent. The empire stands on the threshold of a new era, shaped by the hands of its first emperor. The empire pulses with life beyond Otto's presence. His bones laid to rest, but his vision alive in the hearts of his successors. You walk through bustling towns and fortified castles, where his laws and legacies continue to shape daily life. New generations grow up, knowing of Otto not just as a distant figure, but as the architect of the realm they inhabit. His reforms in governance, faith, and military structure endure, weaving a fabric of stability amid the ever-shifting tides of medieval politics. You see the church flourish under his model, the bishops continuing to serve as pillars of imperial authority. The boundaries he set are both a guide and a challenge for those who follow. A quirky anecdote: local folklore often portrays Otto as a giant who once tamed dragons, metaphors perhaps for the fierce challenges he overcame, but stories that keep his memory vibrant among common folk. Historians recognize Otto's reign as the cornerstone of the Holy Roman Empire, a complex mosaic of power, faith, and culture that would influence Europe for centuries. As you look out over the empire, you sense that while Otto is gone, the empire he built is very much alive, ready to face the future with the strength of its past. The sun dips low, casting a golden glow over the vast expanse of the empire Otto forged. You stand at the crossroads of history, feeling the gentle hum of centuries carried on, the wind, the echoes of battles, prayers, and promises made and kept. Otto's journey from boyhood to emperor is a tapestry woven with threads of steel and faith, ambition and humility, his victories on the battlefield, his cunning in court, and his vision for a united Christendom carved a path that shaped the course of Europe. You reflect on the delicate balance he maintained between sword and cross, power and piety, family and duty. His legacy is not a simple tale of conquest, but a complex symphony of human endeavor. As twilight deepens, the empire settles into quiet, its future both uncertain and hopeful. The institutions Otto laid down pulse with life, guiding those who come after. So, as you close your eyes tonight, remember the emperor who dared to dream of unity in a fractured world. His story lingers, not just in history books, but in the very air we breathe. Now, let the day's worries fade, the stars twinkle softly, and peace settle over you. To sleep well,